In the year 1859, several changes occurred in the life of an individual whose most famous nickname was Billy the Kid. Unfortunately, during his youth, he had to face the harsh reality of losing his mother and being abandoned by his father, leaving him as a helpless orphan. Due to this difficult situation, Billy was sent to a juvenile reformatory in his home state. However, he decided to escape and embarked on a journey westward during the 1870s. During this journey, Billy the Kid joined a group of cattle thieves led by a New Mexico entrepreneur named John. The group's objective was to challenge the powerful cattle owners in the region, who held significant influence and power over the local population. While involved with this group, Billy the Kid found himself entangled in a confrontation with rival cattle owners, which culminated in a highly impactful event when John Tunstall was murdered in 1878. This tragedy intensified the feud between the groups and triggered a series of violent events. Billy the Kid, driven by a thirst for revenge for the death of his mentor, decided to seek justice by eliminating the men he believed were responsible for the murder. This relentless quest for vengeance turned him into a wanted criminal, constantly pursued by the authorities, especially the local sheriff. The sheriff's efforts finally paid off in 1880 when Billy the Kid was captured and brought to trial for murder. Sentenced to death, he awaited the execution of his sentence when, surprisingly, he managed to escape from prison in April 1881. This unexpected episode added a new chapter to Billy the Kid's already legendary story. After his daring escape, Billy the Kid joined a new group of criminals specialized in bank and stagecoach robberies, operating in various locations in New Mexico and Texas. However, an intense pursuit was underway, and in July 1881, Billy was finally found by Pat Garrett, hiding in a friend's house in Fort Sumner, New Mexico. The official version of events states that Pat Garrett invaded the residence and surprised Billy the Kid, resulting in a confrontation where the fugitive was shot and killed by Garrett. However, this narrative is controversial, as there are theories suggesting that Billy was cold-bloodedly executed while unarmed. The mystery surrounding the exact circumstances of his death contributed to the construction of a legend, making Billy the Kid's death and his capture by Pat Garrett iconic episodes in the history of the Old West. Billy the Kid became a widely portrayed figure in movies, books, and television shows, often romanticized as a brave outlaw who opposed the injustices of the time. Meanwhile, Pat Garrett was seen by some as a hero, and by others as a villain due to his role in the capture and death of Billy the Kid. However, it is essential to highlight that these two characters were not the only notorious outlaws of the Old West. The history of this era is filled with remarkable figures and events that left a lasting legacy on popular culture. Jesse James and his gang of bank robbers left a profound mark in history, becoming iconic figures in the Old West. Known for their audacity and brutality, they fascinated and admired people for their ability to escape authorities and their cunning displayed in their bank robberies. Much like Billy the Kid, the story of Jesse James and his gang has been widely explored in various forms of media, perpetuating the myth of the outlaw and captivating the public's imagination with their legendary exploits and dangerous life outside the law. Born in 1847 during the American Civil War, Jesse James rose to prominence as the leader of a gang specialized in bank and train robberies in the late 19th century. After the war's end, he returned to Missouri and formed a criminal partnership with his younger brother, Frank James, and other outlaws. Jesse James's gang was notorious for their audacity and violence, employing aggressive and relentless tactics in their bank and train robberies. One of the most memorable events in their trajectory occurred in 1876, when they executed the daring robbery of the Northfield Bank, making off with over $200,000 in cash and securities. This heist was one of the milestones that propelled them to fame and earned them notoriety across the country. The story of Jesse James and his gang's illicit actions perpetuated their notoriety, turning him into a legendary figure of the Old West. His life as an outlaw bandit, filled with spectacular robberies, captivated the public's imagination and made him one of the most famous criminals in American history. From a young age, Jesse James faced a cycle of violence and tragedy. The loss of his father in a violent situation marked the beginning of his tumultuous life. Throughout his criminal activities, he also had to endure the deaths of his two brothers. Additionally, Jesse suffered various injuries during the robberies, including a severe one that resulted in a bullet lodged in his lung, leaving a physical mark that he carried with him for the rest of his life. Despite the dangers he faced, Jesse James gained fame for his ability to elude the clutches of the law. However, this luck eventually ran out in 1882. Robert Ford, a member of his own gang who became an informant for the authorities, treacherously shot James in the back. Ford hoped to receive a reward for Jesse James's death, but ironically ended up being arrested and sentenced to death for the murder he committed. The tragic fate of Jesse James, which led him to lose loved ones and face a deceitful death, concludes the story of one of the most notorious outlaws of the American Old West. Despite his involvement in criminal activities, Jesse James emerged as a legendary figure in American popular culture. His persona has been immortalized in countless movies, books, and songs, portraying him as a folk hero who challenged the oppressive forces of the government and banks. One of the legendary figures of the Old West, who remains a memorable character, is the iconic gunslinger Wild Bill Hickok. Born in 1837 in Illinois, Hickok began his journey as a buffalo hunter before venturing into professional gambling and gunfighting. His remarkable gun-handling skills and fearless expertise earned him fame, capable of hitting targets at distances of over 75 yards. However, his reputation was not limited to just his gun skills. Wild Bill Hickok was known not only for his dexterity, but also for his strong sense of justice and a rigid code of honor. These striking characteristics of his personality made him one of the most popular and admired figures of his time. His legendary persona and courageous exploits secured a lasting place in the history of the American Old West. During his life, Wild Bill Hickok lived numerous thrilling adventures that left a significant impact on history. Besides being a renowned buffalo hunter, he faced epic challenges against Native American tribes and played a significant role in the American Civil War. His tumultuous relationships, marked by various romances and marriages, added a dramatic touch to his journey. In the town of Deadwood, located in the Dakota Territory, Wild Bill Hickok met his tragic fate when he was brutally shot and killed during a poker game. The perpetrator of this heinous act sought revenge for the death of his brother, whom Wild Bill Hickok had killed in a previous confrontation. This tragic event became an indelible landmark in Wild Bill's history, perpetuating his memory and status as one of the most iconic characters of the Old West. The nation was shaken by the death of Wild Bill Hickok, an event that only intensified his legendary aura. His figure has been immortalized in numerous books, movies, and television shows, portraying him as a romantic and courageous hero, capable of facing the dangers of the Old West with bravery and skill. While his fame is undeniable, it is important to acknowledge that Wild Bill Hickok was a complex and often controversial person. Accusations of murder and troubles with the law permeated his life. However, his gun-handling prowess and unwavering sense of justice turned him into a legendary figure and an undeniable icon of popular culture. And so, we conclude the story of Billy the Kid, Jesse James, Wild Bill Hickok, and other fascinating outlaws of the Old West, whose legacy continues to inspire films, books, and television shows to this day. We hope you enjoyed it. To stay updated on more stories like this, be sure to subscribe to our channel and enable notifications so you don't miss any of our videos. Leave your like and comment below. We would love to know what you thought of this incredible tale.